Hello, everybody. Whoa, I better turn that down right there. That's my backup, my little backup. Oh, I got to turn that down too. I got all my backups. Man, guys, I'm going to tell you something. Every time, I'm not joking here. I know everybody in the chat is going to say, dude, you're joking. Every time we do some kind of a Matrix show,
every time,
movies or topics, cryptocurrencies, anything that deals with kind of a Matrix, kind of a digital kind of a deal, it seems like weird things happen.
Every time.
The last time our friend, the Matrix Unveiled, busted his leg up right before the show. And today, last night, my stomach was feeling just weird. You know, I thought maybe I drank too much coffee or something. I'm constipated. You know, I'm not trying to be gross, but, that's what I thought. But then this morning, man, it feels like there's a knife on the side of my body. It's like, damn, what is with the Matrix? It's like they don't want us to talk about it. They don't want
every time
the conversation to get out
the
there.
The agents are watching.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's why I like having you on here. You are correct when you say that. The agent Smiths are fucking watching. Putting the style. We were even talking. NeoMatrix has his own story about how he almost could not come on, which was like, holy shit, man, this is crazy.
No, it is. It is. I actually rewatched the Matrix movies again just to get a refresh memory,
fresh eyes, yeah,
kind of fresh eyes. And it's a hard movie to watch one after the other. It really is because
they're long as all hell, yeah.
Yeah, they're long, not just because they're long. There's so much kung fu fighting in it, right? Yes. And it's like you have to take a break from all the kung fu fighting, which is great. Which I know a lot of people say that the Matrix kind of started the style of floating, the kicks and all that. I don't know about that.
No, that came from Hong Kong, man.
And that's why they brought in Wu Ping.
Yes.
Wu Ping did all the wire work, but he's actually someone who had experience in the Hong Kong film side of that.
Yes. I was about to bring that up because in the 80s, growing up in the 80s, which, yes, people, I'm old. If there's any young people in there, yes, I'm old. Growing up in the 80s, Bob will know, we used to have black belt theater. Every Saturday, Sunday, black belt theater. We didn't have cable TV. So you go to black belt theater and you had Chinese fighting, flying across trees, floating and stuff.
Yes, we were raised in a Latino neighborhood, and it doesn't matter what your race or color or whatever it was. Everybody, I remember it was Saturdays. Everybody was in each other. All the kids everybody was in their houses watching black belt theater on Saturday. All the kids, everyone locked around the television sets. Then afterwards, everybody goes outside and starts beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that's what made Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon so great, because it really captured that experience you're talking about of sitting in the movie theater watching bad kung fu and then going outside and kicking the crap out of each other in the street. Like
I remember The Last Dragon. Oh my god!
Vanity was my first crush.
Yes, that was a great. And he walked around with the Chinese outfit, and everybody had the kung fu slippers.
Yeah,
the I guess they're like wrapped in cloth. Yeah.
The Last Dragon, that's where ESPN. Wow. My what the hell? Hold on.
Be careful, man. We've got everything is fucking up today, man. Even before the show came on, Eric gave me the thing. We have internet. We checked it. All of a sudden, the internet went off on this laptop outside. This came on right before the show.
I know, this is weird. ESPN. What's with ESPN? And I think on the show on Wednesday, I was saying, why is the governor of New York keeps popping up on my screen?
Oh yeah, he's on everybody's screen.
I like the blue pills. I like that.
Lucky Boger. A shout out to our veterans out there. Yes, we got our vet out there.
Well, let me. I like what this. I had there was another person that was originally going to come on along with us, but something happened. He couldn't, and he sent me like an email. He sent me a pretty good sentence. It says, "This came from Nick Bostrom, the simulation argument. Proposed. What is it? That this is what he's saying. that we are living in a simulation. If we are living in a simulation and the Matrix movies exist in the simulation, then it can be argued that the Matrix movie is a program for your mind.
I think so. I know so. I fucking know it. I mean, there's like, I don't need to be convinced anymore because outside of the whole Mandela, outside of all that stuff, I joke about I had a pillow made and it had it specific words on there: green, yellow, red, green, yellow. The old traffic lights, the way I used to remember them. I know I'm an insane person, but the colors switched. My own physical object that I had went in and had personally made myself is the colors switched. And I know I did not go in there and have it done the other way. I know I did not. So everything is fucking weird. Everything to me is a simulation, and it's almost a coded message for a living universe, living thing, comic book, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it would make sense that movie was inspired by the living universe to be made. I can see that. Yes.
Yeah, it was a pretty good article. Now, if you look at the 3 Matrix movies, of course, each three are different in different ways. You know, the third one was actually, I just finished it like 40 minutes ago, and I forgot how more action than it really is. More like a kind of like a war movie in a way where Terminator should have took a cue out of that and made a final movie where it was a big war against machines.
Oh yeah,
everybody wants the future war, and that's where they keep screwing up. I mean, we're up to number 6, and we still haven't seen the Terminator future war that everybody wants to see.
Exactly. Yeah, the one they did with Christian Bale.
Right, Salvation. They tried. They tried. Right, but it was really only the beginning. I mean, it was only like that early shot kind of thing, and then after that, it wasn't the future war that we want. We want an hour and a half of future war. That's what we want.
Yes. That's what we want.
But now, if they're going to go by the new timeline that they just put in with the last Terminator movie, they killed off that kid's, I forgot his name.
Spoiler alert! Yeah,
they killed him. Still, as a kid, I'm like, really? You're gonna take the first one and the second one, and then how they survive the Terminators and stuff, and this kid, and then you're gonna make a movie that's gonna erase all the other Terminators and just go back from the first and second, and then you're gonna have him killed in the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's like,
it was such a bait and switch, man. I can't remember the actor's name. Of course, I'm not gonna remember his name, but you know, the guy like you're talking about that played the young John Connor in Terminator 2.
John Connor, yeah.
You know, I mean, they're like, oh, he's in it, and James Cameron is on this, and they're gonna totally pick up where Terminator 2 left off, and all they did was take 4, 5, and 3 and merge like the ideas that they liked from those into 6.
Yeah, that's correct. That's how I perfectly said. Yes.
If you're gonna erase it. Don't steal everything from the ones you're saying are crap. Like,
it's the same thing that Eric described that movie. We're going into weird movies, guys. It's about movies. That Dream. Eric, was that one called that Dream? You know, it was one from The Shining. The Dream. What?
Oh, Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah. Dr. Sleep did exactly the same formula, 100%. Where they just took the hot points of the original Shining and just put it into the movie. Like at the last part. I mean, it was like, wait. So I'm just seeing the best parts of the Shining. It's just the best parts of the Shining.
Don't get me started with Dr. Sleep. I absolutely hated that movie.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with how he described the Terminator, where they took just the hot spots. They pulled out just the hot spots and just put it into its own movie. I
mean, I understand that it's a based off a book, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it just felt like the whole ending. He goes into there's the hotel. Well, let's go in like a roller coaster ride. Let's go in on the left. Remember that lady from The Shining?
Remember that from The Shining?
She is. Oh,
yeah, remember this from The Shining?
Remember those 2 girls full of blood? There they are.
There they are from The Shining.
There they are. It was like I felt like I was watching a roller coaster, and I'm like, what? Now he's gonna be using all of them to fight whatever.
Yeah, what's the same? Terminator.
You said it was based off of a book, but and I'm sure someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't The Shining the Stephen King book that turned into a movie that Stephen King hated the movie? Like he hated the way it came out?
Yes, that was the thing. That was the catch-22, and that's why it's cool that you said that, because it wasn't the book. The original wasn't based off the book. It was based off the idea of the book. It was in the respect of the book. And then when they made this one more specific to the book, because this is how everybody wants to see it. So all the people who read the book were like, I want to see it away from the book. And then they made it by the book. But those of us who didn't read the book were like, we're the movie.
Edward Furlong.
Thank you, Carla. Yes, Edward Furlong is the actor that plays John Connor in Terminator 2. And, the whole 12 seconds of Terminator 6.
Yes.
Yeah. And when I just saw him get killed, I'm like, oh my God, no way. Come on. Why can't they just make a good war one? Like the Matrix 3 did with the big war, and that's the last minute.
It's funny that you say that, because a lot of people actually complained about that part of Revolutions. A lot of people actually said that that's one of the things that made Revolutions not so good, is that there was too much of the real world, so to speak.
Well, I mean,
I don't agree with that. I don't
agree with that either, because
I thought it was necessary.
It was necessary because it has to teach people. I mean, I know it's a movie, but it has to teach people that's in this world that they can't just rely on one person being considered the chosen one, because technically half the people don't believe he's a chosen one.
Yeah.
So you got to fight to survive. I mean, you got pulled out, so that the Matrix in this world is real because you got pulled out of it, and there's going to be a time that you're going to have to fight. I mean, fight. I mean, I guess we're skipping the first one, but now if you go back to the first one, like I said, I know the first one's more popular because, of course,
loved it.
First movie is always almost popular in almost in any franchise. I think the only movie I think there's two franchises that there's debates on. The second,
it's an open debate.
Could be considered better than the first one, where a lot of people in the Star Wars franchise likes Empire Strikes Back better than Star Wars. A lot of people in the Batman franchise like The Dark Knight better than Batman Begins. So there is a few, but most cases, the first one, open the line, open the door to this whole new kind of world.
And I think that the ones that come to my mind are actually, it's funny because they're both James Cameron films. The debate that I've always heard was Terminator 2 versus the original and Aliens versus the original.
You're right. A lot of people love Terminator 2 better than the first one. I'm not that person. I love the first one better than the second one, just because I did not like. I know it's a little thing. But I did not like Arnold Schwarzenegger being the ultimate badass killer, basically becoming a good guy. It kind of pulled me out a little bit. I wanted him to stay the bad guy, but it is what it is. I mean,
I liked them both. I liked them both. I
love them both.
They're both great. They're both great.
I think for me with that debate my thing is it's almost apples and oranges, because with the exception of the chases being repackaged throughout every Terminator in the series, the original is unique in the sense that it's almost at that time in the 80s, it was damn near a horror film. I mean, it's a thrill. It's a thriller. Like, people were scared. They're like, "Yo, the Terminator's gonna come get you." You know what I mean? Like, by the second one, it had that more big, overproduced Hollywood. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is a big blockbuster. But the first one was gritty and dirty and like great. Yeah,
it was on the ground. Yeah. It didn't really get its popularity until it hit VHS. Like a lot of those movies.
Or beta. You hit beta first.
Beta. It found its life on VHS and beta. It built a cult following. And then Carpenter, not John Carpenter, James Cameron.
Yeah.
You give that guy $200-300 million, he's going to make something that
he's going to spend some money. Yeah.
He's going to, what is this?
I did like the second one, though.
Hey, guys, people saying Terminator 2 is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying Terminator 2 is bad. It's both great. I just choose the first one over the second one.
Yeah, no, the first one was perfect. That's the thing. It was so perfect. It's like, how could you make a number 2? Well, I think they made it number 2 perfect, as in it's not 100% as perfect as the first one, but it gave you a little bit of closure from the first one. And then that's where, to me, that's where it should have ended. It was, and then from there, it just became, what is this? And then, of course, the last one, which we keep seeing in new movies all the time, is the new timeline. Everything with the new splinter timeline.
Yeah, and it gets hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
It's
erasing. Yeah, because the last one I know that did that was Halloween. The last Halloween movie is a direct sequel just to the first one. So not even John Carpenter's second one counts. None of those counts. So I was like, well, that's kind of a cheap cop out, right? Are you better off doing, I don't know, a reboot in a way?
Well, same things happen in comics. I was at my old workplace, the Museum of Flight.
Comics always did that.
People don't realize it, but there was a guy who was a comic god, a guy who's fucking, all he did was comics. He was, I wanted to call him a nerd, but damn it, man, this guy was all about comics. I like comics too. But we were having a debate about it's called like something universe, the so-and-so universe. I go, I'm confused, man, because how is this happening? And he says, because it's part of the universe where time was changed here. And then now this superhero is now in this section. And then I go, since when are we doing new universes for anything? But all the comic books exploded with all new universe timelines. The same time, all these movies were coming out with time travel and new timelines, and the Matrix. What changes in the Matrix, you actually change the outcome in the other reality. It's the same concept. Exploded within the last few years. Like, I'm confused. What's going on?
I wonder. I know we got a Matrix 4 coming out this year. We know that.
Yes.
But I wonder if they're ever gonna, because this could be an interesting streaming kind of a show, because I know HBO owns the rights to the Matrix. Be kind of an interesting concept for an HBO series, because you can do a lot with the Matrix in that series. Now, you know, when I first heard about the fourth one, right? In back of my mind, I'm thinking, really, they're gonna bring him back because all his sacrifices for nothing? But when I rewatched it, I forgot where the Oracle said, yeah, we're probably going to see him again. So I forgot that they opened the door to say, yes, he can come back. I forgot all about that. I thought,
they foreshadowed that, in Revolutions, at the end of Revolution. That's why when people said, oh, there's a Matrix 4, and they were like surprised, I'm like, it's not that surprising. I mean, now the funny thing that you mentioned here with the streaming possibility, I did a video maybe last summer. I caught a quote from the CEO of Village Roadshow, right? Because that's who's partnered with Warner making all the Matrix films. Like when you see the opening logo, like they're in there, right? He was kind of like low-key bragging that with, you know, the pandemic and everything, like companies should be preparing themselves to move towards streaming. So they've definitely set up the groundwork, or, you know, he said it like, okay, this is something that could happen in the future. Now, my only concern is that you know, with them going with the HBO streaming release, you know, they're doing the theater and
at the same time.
Right. You know, if that really messes with the revenue splits, like if they don't make as much money as they expected to, there it is. The one you see, go back to Village Roadshow logo.
How many months ago?
Right there. It says Future Matrix Media. That's the video where I have the quote from the CEO talking about moving into streaming. Now, he didn't guarantee anything specific, but to your point, you know, it's on their radar. It looks like something that they plan to do. My only concern is, you know, when you're saying you're coming out with the Matrix 4, you almost kind of expect to make, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. And if, you know, the theatrical HBO Max streaming release messes with that money, that's where I get nervous. Like, you know, prior to that, I'm like, okay, we're getting a HBO series and we're getting a new video game and we're going to get all this, you know what I mean? But now I'm just like, let's just see how this thing plays out.
No, I brought that argument up a while ago when people said that it's going to be the death of the movie theaters, the death of cinemas, and I'm like, you don't want that. I told people you don't want that because if you like your high production movies, movies that cost big budgets, million, dude, you're not going to get a $200 million return from an HBO Max. I mean, you would have to get all these new subscribers, and they will have to stay and not just take off.
Yeah, be a loyal fan.
But I'm telling people that, you need these big production movies because these big movies are what pays for some series and stuff. Now, maybe they could do something kind of like what, the Marvel universe is kind of doing now, where they're mixing the movies now, and now they got a series, but they're still doing the movies. But of course, if you're going to do something like that, you don't want to put, the TV shows, you got like WandaVision. Okay.
Yes.
You have the Falcon and whatever other guy.
Get me started
they're getting started, but what Marvel's doing smart is these aren't their big guns. So these aren't your Captain America, your Iron Man. These are technically, I know they don't want to hear this. They are the sidekick characters of the movies. So if they do something like that, where you don't have Neo in the series on HBO and you do some side story, that's where you can maybe get it to work, but it's not guaranteed to work.
Well, the idea that in a really old Wachowski interview that was on the website when they still had whatisthematrix.com, and like it was just like a chat interview. It's a really long time. It was probably like after the first one, but before Reloaded. The Wachowskis did say that they wanted to explore a story about one of the previous ones, but they've never done that. I haven't seen it in any comic book. It's not in the Animatrix, so I could definitely see that being a storyline for a streaming service that would fit real well to the point you're making about it not being Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I guess you could do a prequel with Morpheus, but of course you're not going to get the same actor because you need a lot younger Morpheus. That will pull people in.
And I think that's tied to the Zach Penn script, and he says that that's still on the table. Like I said, with this whole, streaming release thing, we'll see. But based on the way he said things when the Matrix 4 was first announced, I would have assumed that the young Morpheus story would have been like Matrix 5 or something.
Matrix 5, that'd be cool. Just keeps going.
Well, the thing is, what's hard now is you don't know if it's gonna have a 5 or 6 because you're not gonna really know how much it can really make, because
I'm nervous.
I'm going to movies. I'm going to movies tonight. I go to movies every Friday, but the cinema only fills it up 40%. Once it's 40%, it's basically considered sold out. So even if they say all the Matrix movies sold out, well, they're not selling out 100%. They're selling it out on a 40%. So, how much money they're really going to make. And then if you're going to put it at the same time on HBO Max, you're gonna take away, because that's how they're doing next week with King Kong and Godzilla. It's going to be at the theater, and it's going to be on HBO Max the same day.
No, I didn't know that.
Now,
really? That's how they're rolling it out this year.
Now, there is one positive thing about that. It saved me from going to the movie theater to see that piece of crap Wonder Woman Part 2. It saved me from that, but beyond that, who knows what's going to be like, because now every company is shorting their window. Like, they wanted to go straight to streaming, right? Like maybe 2 weeks, boom, next day, boom. It's
that's what I was going to say. Save the movie theaters, buy AMC stock while it's still low.
Yes, correct. Thank you for saying that. Yeah,
what's funny about that? I watch another channel, and I kind of agree with this one guy. AMC kind of got a gift, a bailout from the people.
I bought.
They got a gift, right? And I can't remember the number of how many people are laid off from AMC. And they just announced that the AMC CEO, he's getting over like there's like an $8 million bonus that's going to the top people, and they're saying he's gonna get like $4 million bonus. Now you got a gift from people to keep your theater alive, and you got people that are laid off, and now you're going to give your CEO over $4 million and $8 million, and people are hurting.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if you guys heard that one.
Yeah, no, that's corporate bit. I mean, what's that? Golden parachutes. That's what they call them.
Golden parachutes. Thank you. Yeah. People don't know it. Eric and I, we were younger. We wanted to own a movie theater. We actually wanted to buy it. We wanted to own a theater.
Still want one.
Yeah, I'm still want one. That's why we're not letting it go.
Yeah, now's the time. Buy while the market's low.
We want to buy our own theater.
Yeah, I want to bring back the midnight movies and all that. Where when we're growing up, we lived outside of Fresno. I know people Fresno, right? We live outside of Fresno, but very often they'll do a midnight showing. Like one of the funnest midnight shows that we ever done was Friday the 13th, Part 6. Everybody was dressed up at midnight. And every other screen, they had like Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. So you could have saw any other Friday the 13th, but it was like one big party. It's like getting everybody together.
Yeah, it's like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, again, it's I don't know, it's a comfortable sin. I went to one of them. I was invited to go. The gal says, "Hey, I want you to come and be the Rocky Horror Picture Show." So I don't want to see no tranny dance around, but be damned if it was a damn good movie. It was nothing to do with anything.
Open up a drive-in.
It was completely great.
Fizzy Pop said you should open up a drive-in theater, and Bob could deliver on roller skates. You know what? Drive-ins have changed. In some places, they kept it. There was a time when we had a drive-in. You were allowed to bring couches. I'm serious. You were allowed to bring couches.
Yeah, we brought couches.
You were allowed to bring barbecue. Barbecue outside. The last experience that Bob and I had was Auburn had a movie theater until they shut it down, and Bob was sitting in the back of the truck. And they're like, "Oh, you guys can't sit back there no more. You got to be in the vehicle." And we're like, "It's a drive-in. What do you mean we got to? What do you mean we can't sit in our long chairs and stuff that we have to be inside the vehicle?"
Yeah, because kids got ran over. That's why.
And of course, the theater, the drive-in got shut down. It's because, and they say, well, the economics wasn't there. Well, yes, you could say the economics wasn't there. But when you take away the enjoyment of why you go to an outdoor movie in the first place, I mean, if I can't barbecue, if I can't make a hot dog or hamburger, sit in long chairs, why the hell do I want to go? I could just do that here, barbecue in my backyard, and watch it on the screen.
Yeah, I missed that, man. That was the best. On the same subject as movies and the same subject as Matrix movies. Yeah, I'm all about the drive-ins, man. I want them back, especially with this COVID. Shouldn't we just have drive-ins now? I'm down with that. It's just as long as the epic movie's still there.
Bob, they don't have any drive-ins in the UK?
They did not. However, they do now.
Carla says she's never been to a drive-in.
Yeah, when I was leaving, there's that guy. I'm not gonna name it. It's the biggest mall in England. I had a flat right next to it. They started doing outdoor theaters because of the COVID. So they had these huge screens that they had built, and it fenced it all off in the part of the parking lot of the mall. And people were driving in, and they had people like Fizzy Poop was talking about. People were going up to the door to the drive and selling food to each door. This is in England. I'm like, hey, this is just like the States. And they were charging a pretty penny to go in there, and it was packed every time. Like every time it was packed. Yeah. The drive-in, and then before even the drive-in starts, they have the staff do a song and dance with live music. I'm like, hey, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, and just like the movies, people used to hide other people in the trunk.
In the trunk of the car, yeah.
Trunk of the car, sneaking
people in
because they weren't charging by the car. They in the early drive-in days, they charged by the person in the car.
Yeah, it was a Cheech and Chong. They had a skit about driving into a drive-thru, and they had a bunch of vatos in the back of the trunk, and they forgot about them during the movie. Hey, man, we're still in the trunk.
Our drive-in had the best burgers. I missed them.
Oh, man, pizza, burgers, everything, hot dogs. They had a whole. You go to the concession stand. It was just packed with shit. It was a great place to hang out and buy weed too. You can always buy weed at the drive-in.
Well, it was Fresno, so
yeah,
I mean, I don't know there is, but let's go back to the very first the Matrix movie that started them all. So,
yeah. One thing I was going to say is when you brought it up before is that that's the one that, like, everybody loves, and it's like the most classic. It's the one that follows the regular Hollywood formulas of an action movie film. It hits all those points of character arc, and you know what I'm saying? Like people are good, machines are bad. It's very like I said, classic or standard in its delivery. It's what you expect. It's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But it did make you think, because when Neo was staring at his computer, you feel like you're in a fog. You feel like something's not right. I mean, how many of us has had that feeling where something,
every one of us,
just doesn't feel right? I mean, shit, this morning I woke up with the pain in my left, doesn't feel right. And then finding out there's something different, and then the question is you actually have a choice to choose from. Now some saying in real life, sometimes you don't have a real choice to choose from, and the question of all questions is, did he choose right? I can't remember the colors. It was a blue pill and a red pill, right?
Yes, correct.
Wasn't there some kind of a Mandela color? People in the chat, wasn't there some kind of Mandela, or somebody thought the blue pill was green? I don't know.
I always thought it was green, but it's not because of a Mandela effect. It's because I'm just remember. I
remember right, is it the blue pill that keeps you awake, where you don't go back into the mind world, or is that the red pill? I can't remember.
The blue pill, you go back to sleep, and the red pill, you exit the Matrix and show how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm always wondering, what happens if you take both pills?
Oh, that's the nuclear purple option, we call it.
Okay. Can you please?
Is that real?
Is that real? Explain to us this.
Well, I mean, it's basically in as many things that have kind of like adopted Matrix references in pop culture since then. The purple pill is basically saying, like, okay, I took the red pill, I understand the truth, I know the truth, but I'd rather be in Wonderland. I'd rather go back to sleep. Like, I have the knowledge and that's fine, but I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know and go back to the machine or the Matrix itself. I'm just gonna stay here.
That's really interesting. Wow, that's kind of how it is in reality for some people that are kind of waking up to, like, things aren't exactly what they're telling us, but I have a job, I've got
I've got a family, I got bills to pay.
That nuclear purple, laugh out loud. People like that.
That's really cool. Only on this show. She took the nuclear purple.
What Carla saying? There is no pill. It's just a visible choice. That's why the Oracle ate the red candy in the shape of a pill. It was a placebo. Oh,
okay. I think now Carla's, she's ahead of the curve, because we're still on number one and we don't get to that till like Reloaded and Revolutions. But I totally agree. That's the architect speech. I mean, there's so much packed in that. But the whole thing is that it's the illusion of choice, right? Like, red or blue, you're still participating in the system. I mean, what we find out later on in the series is that, you take the red pill, you're part of Zion, cool, but the machines destroy Zion every 100 years. They know it's there. In fact, I have a theory that they built it. But the whole point is it's controlled opposition. So the 99% accept the program, the 1% could catastrophically destroy the program. So what we do is we give the 1% that could be a problem the illusion of choice. And just by giving them the illusion of choice, they can control and manipulate and extend the cycle. That's the idea. That's what the Oracle's workaround was for the system crash.
Oh, that makes sense. God damn, you know a lot about it.
I mean, I've been living Matrix for the past 2 years. I mean, I was a fan before, but like, once the channel got started, like, this is what I do. I love it. That's why I love when you guys invite me on. Thanks for having me as always, because this is the most fun thing for me talking about.
I mean, everybody in the chat, I mean, look at all his videos here. I'll copy and paste his site right back in the chat. There it is. I mean, you're right. I mean, look, if you look at his site, guys, he's got it. Matrix for interview, Matrix Reloaded, Dracula 2021. That's interesting.
Nice.
Oh, that's Rob Zombie, the Dracula song was on the Matrix soundtrack.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh.
so I took the acapella and made a remix. So like I'm trying to like find as many acapellas from the original soundtrack and remix as many original Matrix soundtrack, songs that I can get my hands on. It's an old movie, so it's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Cool, though.
Trying my best. I'm working on it. But the second part of Carla's statement was about the candy. Okay, I've been working on this for a while, so I'm not gonna give it all away. But what I will say is the cookies, I believe, and this is an ongoing Matrix community debate, if you will, that the cookies represent like internet cookies.
Okay.
You know how we have to remember that big thing where like everybody had to like tell you that they were putting cookies in your websites and you have to now accept cookies because they're tracking your internet usage. They're tracking what site you're going to so they can predict what advertising to sell you. Now take an internet cookie and apply it to the Oracle's cookie. She's giving Neo cookies to track his activity in the Matrix so that she knows what to say to him. She knows how to guide him because she knows where he's been and where he wants to go.
Interesting.
Yeah, in the last Matrix movie, Agent Smith, when he was talking to her, he mentioned something about the cookies.
Huh. So it's more of a computer metaphor for reality.
I believe some people will argue against it. I believe that there are, many Matrix references in the films and that's one of the computer references because they do make a lot.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Well, obviously.
There's a funny cartoon on YouTube by channel How It Should Have Ended. The Matrix hero swap with Forrest Gump.
Oh God.
Is there a cartoon? Forrest Gump. That's a oh, here we go, Carla. Cookies on the web, because the word cookies is always mentioned.
Web cookies, yeah. Smith's Smith, when Smith takes over Sati in the Matrix Revolutions before he possesses the Oracle, the version of him that took over Sati, when she asks, the Oracle said, "What did you do with Sati?" That Smith that took over Sati's body says, "Cookies need love like everything does."
Oh shit! I didn't catch that. Wow.
That's what I'm saying. They pack so much into, and that's the crazy part. It's been like 20 years, and you can just keep finding stuff. Like they packed so much into these 3 movies. It's insane.
Wow. I still have a question. I'm happy you're here because I gotta ask the question. I'm sure people have asked you before about the train guy. What's his proper name? The train guy. The Train man. Okay. So what's the rumor that the train man at one time, before he was the train man, was actually the architect? And they say, well, why would you associate? And this is what got me. Why would you associate? Because I'm debunking. Why would you associate the train man, which has a small role, with the architect, which has all this power? They said because the train man was the only one to throw Neo around like a rag doll without even hesitating magically or with his gifts. He
said he was God in that
realm. He was God. Like he could do anything, had all complete control. He looked mad, but he's not actually mad. He was at one time the architect that became the train man. What is your take on that?
Well, Gypsy wrote he actually said it. He was the creator or the god of that space. Okay, I actually did a really detailed video about the train man specifically because this is one of those things that they don't really get into, but we learn more about him in the Matrix Online, right? But to answer your question more specifically, that space that Gypsy Road's talking about, where the train man says that he's God, okay, that's a construct. You know how when they're in the training program and they show the lady in red, the red dress?
Yes.
Right. Mouse created her, right? He created that whole thing. Right. The last time we talked about how the Wachowskis hired all these twins and triplets for extras for that scene to show that the coder was taking shortcuts, and that's why there's so many of the same people in there. But that space isn't inside the Matrix. That space is just a training program on their hovercraft. Okay. So the train man built a space that exists in between the real world and the Matrix.
Yeah.
Okay, so like in a computer world, if anybody knows about computers, it's called a backdoor.
It's a backdoor to the Matrix itself.
Backdoor. That's the backdoor reference. Okay.
And that's how the way I like to word it is, in the real world, you have hardware, like the Sentinels. Those are hardware. Okay. So in order for a Sentinel program from the real world to get inside the Matrix, the only way they can get in is through that space that the train man created.
Okay. So if you guys out there don't understand about coding, when you're building a computer, you're starting from code. It's just line 1, line 2, line 3. Within that code, you could actually put in extra stuff. You could write in extra stuff that's only going to show up if you're looking for it. What's called within code. If it was a virus, no, a coder can put anything he wants in there, and including a backdoor, which is an alternate universe to get into that computer. If once his job is done, you're fired. Thank you for building this monster master whopper computer. Get out of here. Well, homie can go home from his toilet and with his cell phone and go into the back door because he's already put in a back key to like a back door, and he can get into that whopper computer while sitting on the toilet. I mean, that's how. So the same thing you're talking about with the train man. It was like he'd actually created his own, because he was the architect probably at one time. He created his own code for a back door, his own universe. I got it.
Well, now here's the thing though. Because you originally asked me, are they the same? No, they're not the same. Because the architect says, I built the Matrix. The train man built the construct. He built the train station. He built Mobile Ave, and he works for the Merovingian. Now, yes, at some point, the train man was building for the system, but he's in exile now. Everybody who works for the Merovingian is in exile. So at that point, he's separate from the system. He's just building his own stuff, right? But Carla asked another great question, talking because mobile, when they say Mobile Ave, they spell it MOBIL. So that's an anagram for limbo. And that's a reference to, like she's talking about, the link between worlds. I mean, we know limbo as, this place between like heaven and hell, right? And that's the thing. At that point, the Oracle says, hey, you were supposed to have died. That should have killed you. And it didn't. Yeah. He ended up in limbo. So he didn't return to the source. He didn't return to the Matrix. He landed at Mobile Ave, which is the limbo between those two worlds.
See, but there's an argument that people have. That's why I was joking with you about it, because they say, because as you know, the Matrix kept getting shut down numerous times. So they had the first one. Everybody was too perfect. There was nothing wrong, and it shut down. It didn't work. I guess they had multiple different matrices. They all shut down. And so the argument, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying somebody said it to me. The argument was that in one of those universes, the train man was, in fact, the actual original architect that had his whole system universe crash. So he's no longer relevant to the monster, the master machine. The universe itself got rid of that architect. And then the Merovingian, like you've talked about before in the show, hires all the leftovers, all the kickouts, all the all the fuck ups, all the ones that the master whopper gets rid of. And so yours is most likely right, but the argument was he in fact one of the original architects for one of the other universes, and then he was just kicked out, and then the Merovingian gave him a job, or he still.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I created my channel, because like there's all kinds of theories out there, and the Wachowski set it up so that it's a choose your own adventure. Like there are things that they specifically don't answer, so that you can kind of go your own way with things. But for this particular situation, right, my thing is I always go to the dialogue, right? And if you're going to say that the train man built one of those versions, then that would contradict what the architect said. Architect said, I built that first version of the Matrix, it crashed. I built the second version, the nightmare version, that crashed. Then I brought the Oracle in, and now we have the cycle that you see now. Okay. So the version of the Matrix that we see in the films, in the first film and beyond with Neo is the sixth version, but he's the sixth version within the third version. So the way I like to look at it, I say the heaven version was beta 1, and then the nightmare version was beta 2. And then, they launched with the first one, who we never see. That's who we were talking about before. They never showed us who the first one is. When we see Neo, we're up to version 6.
Yeah. Can you tell people about the concept of the first universe, the first Matrix, so everyone understands why it crashed?
Right. So, and you brought that up. I mean, like I like to call it, I just said it's like the heaven version, but I actually really like to more refer to it as like the Eden version, like this Garden of Eden, right? This so-called perfect place, this paradise, this place where there's no war, no pain. And, basically what the architect said was like, he said it was perfect, it was flawless, but that, maybe there was something wrong with the human mind that it just wouldn't accept it. But either way, it crashed. Now, they don't tell us specifically why it crashed. I do have a theory about that. I haven't done a video about that yet, but I do have an idea. Excuse me.
I want to hear it.
Of what could have caused that crash. But the point being, in that first version, the agents were actually displayed as angels, and that's where Seraph came from. He was one of those agent angels. There's a reference somewhere where somebody says something about him losing his wings. And at that point, he's, the protector of the Oracle as we see him. But in the first version of the Matrix, he was technically working for the system. And like I said, the agents appeared as angels in that version.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. Wow. And then what was this? Do you know what the second universe was? What was the second?
So the second version is the nightmare version. And so the architect says that, because the paradise version didn't work out, he tried to go to the opposite end of the spectrum. And, the way he worded it was, adding certain grotesqueries. And the way I kind of always looked at that is like this metaphor for the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages, because, that's like where this Merovingian reference comes from, right? Kind of time of like darkness and like witches and chaos in Europe, right?
Okay. The Dark Ages.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how I kind of make that version of the Matrix always look to me. It's this reference to that, this time of just pure violence, and that version crashed too. Again, they're never real specific about what caused the crash, but basically what he says is, at some point, or rather, the Oracle found the solution in the sense that if people aren't given a choice, the system will crash. No matter whether it's nice or not nice, if people in their subconscious feel like they're prisoners, the system eventually is going to crash.
I got you. Well, it's like the Middle Ages, they actually burned witches. I mean, they were burning women. They were just burning randomly because they had the power. It would be like burning all the guys, Neo, Morpheus. They would be considered the witches at the time because they were awake within the Matrix, and they were burning them at the stake. So that's that second wave that crashed. How many? You said it was 6. So what would be the third?
Okay, so right. So like I said, I look at it as the heaven version or the Eden version is beta 1, and then the nightmare version is beta 2, and then you start counting from the launch. So the version of the Matrix we see would be launch, but the first Neo is 1.0, and then 2, 3, 4, and by the time we see Keanu Reeves, we're up to 6.
Wow. Okay.
So that would give you 8 total, right?
Attempts at a real world, and I wonder, to flip this coin around back at Zion, because you would also have an equal activity or life in Zion, which is out of people pulled out of the Matrix. What is their life like? So if you have say 1, so you're in heaven. So we got the first tier, you got the first one, like 0.1. What would, and the opposite of that is Zion. So there's the actual humans out of the Matrix. What is their life like? Well,
that's the thing. Hold on. Zion doesn't start until the Matrix launched. So in the first version of the Matrix and the nightmare version of the Matrix, now we go to that Smith speech when he has Morpheus captor in the first film, when he has, Morpheus is chained to the chair, right?
Yeah.
And he's, saying human beings are a virus. Smith says, we had this earlier version of the Matrix and whole crops were lost. So there wasn't a Zion yet. When those crashed, those people just died.
Oh, literally just dead. Okay.
Yeah, like, this don't work. Boom, it's offline.
Yeah, they got sucked out of the big tube, and
they had to flush everybody.
They flushed everybody out like a turd.
All right, yeah, so, food for the next cycle, right?
Okay.
You could literally do different kind of prequels if somebody want. I mean, we don't really want
That's
prequels.
So great about this universe, though. There's so many different areas you can play in. Yeah. And that's what I loved about the Animatrix series is they just kind of let the animators world build. They gave them the Matrix universe and said, "Okay, guys, go on your own and do what you want," and it just came out great. In fact, like there are times where like I think that the Animatrix might be my favorite out of all of them.
Wow. I mean, they could do a show on just the first version, the Paradise version. They could do one on Matrix, the second living or life version.
Oh, if you want, you can go to the community tab on my channel. Actually, I posted a picture, not the last post, but the post like a week ago is a picture of one of the angels from the earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was Neo like if he was alive in the first version? Okay. Wow. Yeah, so, I wonder what Neo was like in the first or second version of himself. If he was
right. So once we're at launch, that's what I'm saying. The Wachowski said they want to explore it. I really want to see some version of that story. I don't believe that. Like, I know one of the popular theories is that Neo is like reincarnated and he always looks like Keanu Reeves and it's always Thomas Anderson. And I don't think that's how it plays out. And that's why I would really love to see them expand on that and just show us. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the first one. It could be the third one or the fourth one. I just want to see a story of another one.
Somebody wrote, what about the theory that Agent Smith was the one?
What a good question. That's a beautiful question.
I never heard that theory. Is that a real theory?
What?
I mean, it's a theory. It's funny because that's like one of the first videos I made was to address that. That and the Matrix Inside of Matrix Theory were like two of the really big motivating factors to start my channel. Because like for me, I wanted to set the record straight. It's like, don't get me wrong. I always encourage people to come up with their own theories, have fun, choose your own adventure, watch the movies, see where your imagination takes you. That's great. But when you look at the dialogue and when you work with everything that's there, you know, the film theorists and you know, the pages that really made those two theories possible, they do a lot of cherry picking to make those arguments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that they're just leaving out just because it's convenient.
Oh, I know. Let me ask this. I'm just trying to.
Wait, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to get through my pain.
Working out, baby.
His theory on this, man. Go ahead.
Yes, but now, technically, I can see where he is the one and Neo's the one, because didn't they say in the last one that you got to have a positive and you got to have a negative. You can't have one without the other. So if Neo's the positive and Agent Smith is the negative, then technically they're both ones.
Technically, it's in quantum physics. You have a positive and you have a negative. You have a positive and you have a negative. Go ahead.
No, and I think that's a great observation. That balance is a major aesthetic throughout the entire series. I mean, at one point, the Oracle is wearing yin-yang earrings. Like, the symbolism is there. Now, to that point, I am willing to accept that Neo is 0.5 of the one and Smith is 0.5 of the one. Like she said, the Oracle says they are half of the same whole. Okay, they are connected. But what I don't like is when people say Smith is the one all by himself. To me, that doesn't work. And the reason why that doesn't work is because Smith is not special until Neo infects him. It's only after Neo jumps into him that Smith then changes. You see what I mean?
Yes.
At the end of the first film, that's when Smith becomes the Smith virus, is after Neo puts some of the anomaly code onto him, and that makes Smith special. And then Smith gets another upgrade when he gets the Oracle's eyes, right?
Yeah.
But the Smith agent who was in previous versions of the Matrix, he didn't crash the Matrix until he met Neo. You see what I mean? Like, if he's the one, then he's the one the whole time. Why wasn't he crashing the system before he met Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Another big point, like I said, and where the cherry picking comes in is like, okay, we talk about what the Oracle says here and we talk about what Morpheus says there. Well, one thing the Oracle said is that the path of the one ends at the machine mainframe. Okay, well, Neo goes to the machine mainframe and Reloaded when he meets the architect. He goes to the machine mainframe in the real world when he meets with Deus Ex Machina. Smith never once goes to the machine mainframe in any film.
Never does.
So to me, it's like I said, if you want to ignore certain things, then you can say Smith is the one. But if you the dialogue, it's a contradiction if you say that he's the one all by himself.
Well, Neo kind of feels we'll call it a god, the god concept. He feels a god. He feels the mainframe. He feels the computer. He feels it, the Whopper, we call it, whatever. As in Smith rejects it. He hates. He hates the complete 100% opposite 180. I mean, completely hates the mainframe, hates the Whopper, hates the people in the Whopper. He reminds me, and we go back, and Eric and I keep arguing with everybody about the Thanos philosophy, where Thanos kills half the people so the people could survive. Just kills them, you know.
And
no hatred, no. He just has to do it. It just
right.
has to.
And that's the other thing, Thanos. When you bring up the Thanos thing, in the comic books, he wanted to impress, his girl, right? But either way, this was an idea that he, came up with Smith and his destruction. In the first Matrix film, before he's infected by the anomaly code, before Neo jumps into him, in the first Matrix film, he tells Morpheus, "I just want out. I just want to do my job so I can get out of here, dude. Like, I work for the system. I want to kill you, kill everybody in Zion, and go home."
Yeah.
Okay. It's only after Neo goes inside of him that he wants to destroy everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So what's inside of Neo's mind?
Right. Min. Oh, yeah, it's Min, all right.
Yeah. The sacred feminine, the masculine and the sacred. Here we go again with modern life and the Zen philosophy. The sacred feminine, which is, Neo would be feminine, and then sacred masculine, which would have been Smith. Wow.
There was like a Tron kind of moment watching this, because Tron is the character gets zapped into the computer itself.
Yeah,
he's a character, and in the last movie, the Matrix, Smith was able to, I don't know how, maybe he can explain it better than me, that he was able to come out through that one guy.
He came out
in the real world.
Now, it's funny you bring that up, because this is something that I think a lot of folks missed. So the reason why the Bane thing is necessary, the reason why we see Smith infect someone in the real world. Now, okay, correction, excuse me. He infected Bane in the Matrix, but by doing that, he exited the Matrix into Bane as Smith. So you guys follow like paranormal stuff. I mean, this is basically The Exorcist. This is a demon possession.
Yes.
Okay. Bane in the real world was possessed by the Smith virus. The reason why we are shown this is because it shows us that a program can live in a human host in the real world.
Because a human is basically made up of energy.
But to the point we were talking about before, that balance, we're shown Smith able to do this because Neo is hybrid.
Yeah.
So, if Smith can do it, Neo can do it. If Neo can do it, Smith can do it. So, and I always felt like, the whole copying himself was a perversion of how the agents take over people's bodies, right?
Yeah.
So that's why Neo doesn't try to copy himself, because he was an agent of the system. So he doesn't see it that way. He's just a hybrid on, Thomas Anderson's body in the real world. He's just on that one human host, and he doesn't feel the desire to spread like a virus the way Smith does, because he's jumped from person to person to person to person to person. But we're showing Smith go from a person in the Matrix to a person in the real world, to say that in this Matrix universe, it can exist that a program takes over a human person. I mean, with the case of Neo, this is the Immaculate Conception, right?
Yeah.
He's always been Thomas Anderson. He wasn't implanted onto Thomas Anderson, but when you really break down that architect's speech, like I said, there's just so much packed in it. Let me go to it real quick.
Mythology, demigod. You have demigods in mythology.
Human experience. Word, yes.
Yeah. Same exact thing. Demigods. And then it's kind of funny that when Smith comes into human form, much later, Neo actually goes into, I just call it the Whopper. He goes into the computer. SWAT. Smith became human, and eventually Neo became into the Whopper computer systems that we would call the universe.
Well, ask this: what if somebody wrote, "What if Neo is a computer program too?" In my opinion, you ever heard of that one?
And what I'm saying is, why can't he be both? Why can't he be a computer program and human at the same time? That's what we're being shown.
Yeah, I think that's where the concept of demigod is. Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's not just God. It's not just a man. It's God in man's form.
Which goes back to religion, which goes back to what we have now in the Christian community, Muslim, any religion you would have, or even Buddha himself was. And
you can even take that back to Greek mythology and
mythology. Yeah, all of them. All of them. You have the demigod. It's the demigod concept. It's you're half in, half out. Half in, half out. Neo was demigod. Half in, half out. Yeah.
What about programs having feelings? because remember when Neo was in that limbo world, talking to that man and his wife and kid, he was trying to explain to him,
Ramachandra and Sati,
yeah, about why can't programs enjoy another program? We connect like almost like a human.
And to your point, that was why that conversation is necessary, and that's why they have that conversation in Revolutions, because it tells us in this Matrix universe, programs can have feelings. We can support this. This is happening. He's talking about love and creating life and all that.
Well, yeah, the gal wanted a kiss from Neo. Remember?
Right? Yeah, Monica Bellucci's wife, Persephone.
All
there
I
you go.
want is a kiss. I want you to kiss me like you kiss her. And he's like giving her a sloppy old fucking,
Give her a fast kiss. I remember that watching it, and then she wanted the real deal.
She wanted the real kiss. She wanted the kiss with emotion behind it, like the way he kisses homegirl. So she was like, "Give it to me," because she's obviously attractive in the program. Everybody desires her in the program, but she don't feel nothing for it. She's like, "It's not real. Nope, nothing is real. These people aren't real. They're not giving me an emotional." What I need, no, nothing. But when Neo was there, because he's half in, half out, he's a demigod. Give me that kiss, he says. I want that human, living one. And then he gives it to her, and she's like, "Oh, okay, you are alive. You are the one."
I love it when she first makes the request, and Trinity's like, "Excuse me,
excuse me." Kiss. Yeah. She's like, "Squeeze me?" Kissing him. I'm waiting for a frying pan to hit him in the head. But a man's got to do what a man's got to do. So he had to go ahead and lay her a big old smooch.
Now, a couple things too. Since you mentioned Persephone in the Enter the Matrix video game, there's some cutscenes, and she actually propositioned both Ghost and Niobe, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, the same thing in the game. So you get to see, Monica Bellucci and Jada Pinkett make out, which is awesome.
Wow. In the balance of the world, she's both. She's not. She is a program. So she might present as a female, but she can roll every direction.
I wanted to ask NeoMatrix about the two programs in the second movie. I don't know if this was just to add special effects to make like the next level, a Smith killer, whatever. When the two lookalikes, the gray color people, whatever, I forgot their names.
The twins, ghost twins.
And when they can they could go into that ghosty form where things go through them and back. Was that a major supposed to be a meaning, or do you think maybe that's just some special effects they wanted to add? Because why can they do that? And the Smith agents, wouldn't that be an awesome power for them to have?
Well, I think you're on the right track. I believe that, again, with the Merovingian, we're talking about that whole Dark Ages reference. I believe that this goes back to the Oracle saying, any exile you've seen, like in, Neo says, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about. What are exile programs?" She's like, "Oh, you've heard of them all the time. Anytime you heard a story of a vampire or a werewolf or a ghost, that's an exile program, right?" So I believe, there's a theory that the ghost twins were agents in that nightmare version of the Matrix. That nightmare version is where we're going to have all these werewolves and vampires as part of the system. Once they then become no longer required in the system, that's when they go under the Merovingian's wings. So whatever perversion or hack that they have to become ghosts, while the system might have been programmed into them, it might have been a hack that they learned on their own. But once they, go under the wing of the Merovingian, they take orders from him, and they're just his henchmen. So we're not really told whether the agents of the second version of the system were able to do that. But, like you said, with the agents that we do see, we see the agents taking over people's bodies. So it's possible that the whole ghost trick was just something that they had as agents of the system in the nightmare version to protect them and, be able to carry out whatever they had to do it as agents.
Here's an interesting, somebody wrote, maybe the Matrix wasn't created by a computer, but the humans, because they wrecked the environment, humans could live on that way. I guess that
actually would make sense. I think that is the concept. Humans made the AI, and then the AI decided that humans are the fucking virus. I mean, because an AI that's created within one generation, it doesn't mean that the next generation is going to be able to are smart. Just because you have one smart group at one time period, as 100 or 200, 300 years or 1,000 years go by, the original creators of that AI system are gone. They're dead. So you have their great grandkids, and they could be all retards. So at some point, the AI is going to say, well, my original creators are gone, and what's left over is a generation of retards that's killing the environment, so I need to, waste them.
Well, Long Reach One wrote, I think the Matrix was created to solve a problem and help humans make decisions virtually before they do in real life.
Well, yeah, again, they could have created an AI at one time, and then a million years, 3 million years a billion years in the future, and that AI is still strong and running. That generation that created that AI is gone.
Now, am I missing something? And we never see the real humans in the movie. The characters are assimilation. What is the people that fought in the war? They were real, right?
Yeah. So this goes back to that Matrix inside a Matrix theory. That, like I said, there's the Smith is the one, and then there's the Matrix inside a Matrix. So the theory goes, when we see Zion, that's actually like another layer of the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Now the problem with that is that when you go to the DVD extras or listen to all the Wachowski interviews, they are very specific about, they use the green tint to show scenes that are inside the Matrix, and they use the blue tint to show scenes that take place in the real world. Yeah. Okay. So metaphorically, yes, the real world is another layer of deception. In that way, there is a second layer to the Matrix, in the sense that the Oracle's prophecy is a lie, right? She's saying that the one is going to save you guys, but really he's just to keep your whole group in check, so we can come destroy you every 100 years and you don't destroy us. That is the second layer of the Matrix, the deception of the prophecy of the one. But when we see Zion in the films, that's supposed to be the real world. That's not actually supposed to be more code, because the problem with that is, if you go that route, then what you're saying is everything we see in the movie is a layer of the Matrix. Okay, well, if that's the case, then Smith is not a threat. He's not a threat to the real world, because the real world we see is just another layer of programming.
That's right.
If that was the case, they wouldn't have to destroy Zion. They could just keystroke the whole thing away. They could just send a black cat and change everything in a code.
Here's a question somebody had in the chat. Nuclear fusion. Wasn't there a reference in the movie? Or even cows are better than using humans as batteries? Yeah, was there a reference in the movie about nuclear fusion?
So the Morpheus quote is that he says a form of fusion. He does not specifically say nuclear fusion, but I mean, this is really more about, I did a video called Solving the Battery Problem that goes into depth scientifically, right? This is really about the law of thermodynamics and entropy, and basically saying you can't get out more than you put in, right? Correct. Right. And that's a real thing in physics. I'm not going to say that, they reverse entropy, but that's my point. Nowhere in the film did they ever claim that entropy is being reversed. We don't know how much power is theoretically generated by, this machine intelligence. Now the underlying thing behind all this, really, I think the real problem here is that the Wachowskis originally wanted the Matrix to be something where the human beings were used for their brains, for their processing power, so that the machines had more, they had more,
like the blockchain for
yes, perfect. Yes, that is a perfect analogy. Absolutely, that was the idea. But Warner or the studio pushed back and said, "Hey guys, that is complicated as hell." I mean, we're talking about blockchain now, 20 years later.
Blockchain.
So
yeah, exactly.
In 1999, the studio was like, "Guys, that's just too much. That's too much nerd talk. We can't do this." That's when they kind of forced the battery thing and said, "Okay, it's just they're reduce a human being to this." Right? He shows you the battery. The other side of that is, when Morpheus is saying this, you got to remember the prophecy of the one is a deception. So it's completely possible that Morpheus doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, because everything that he knows came from the Oracle, and the Oracle is part of the system.
Yeah.
So there could be whole underground nuclear power plants, and they don't even know.
Yeah,
I mean,
and again, it goes back to they're just saying we could use the concept of blockchain. They're just saying that you're a battery. What if, again, like we joked about, originally the brothers wanted to make it's your mind. So these people are in,
right.
they're thinking, they're storing information that's being put out there within the living universe. It's a blockchain. Way before the concept even started. It was like when the computers first came out, people forget that it was all dial up. And the matrix, the world, the computer world, the web was just computer to computer. That was the web.
That's what a fax machine is.
Yeah, it was just computer to computer by a phone fucking line. The web was built. It was the original blockchain. And so now everything's going in that direction. Everything is going in that direction at the moment. It's being shoved in our face by the fucking Matrix. And it goes back to the argument you said about the battery concept. And that's cool. I didn't know there was even a blockchain concept until you brought it out. That's fucking cool.
And that's the thing. That's one of those rumors where I will admit, I've been pretty good at tracking like the history of stuff and like where it leaked or where it came from. That's one where I never actually found the origin of who leaked that story from, the Wachowski camp or the studio side or whatever. Yeah. But there is evidence in other areas like the Matrix comics and so on and so forth to support that idea that that's the way they really wanted to design, the usage of the Matrix. So, and I've always bought that. The other kind of piece of evidence, when Switch calls Neo, when Neo gets in the car and they're like, "We think you're bugged" or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Switch calls Neo a copper top.
Huh.
Okay, that's a reference to Duracell, right? She's calling him a battery. That's like, what you call hovercraft slang, right?
Yes.
So, she's calling him a blue pill, calling him a copper top, saying he's a battery. Now, the reason why this is important is because you've got that whole thing about where the Wachowskis, they've transitioned, right? And they, had more trans themes in the original version than what we saw in the final version. And one of those is that the character Switch was supposed to be played by a woman inside the Matrix, but a man outside the Matrix. Okay. And see what I'm saying? And the studio was like, "Oh yeah, we can't do that." Right. Because it's 1999 and it wasn't as, accepted as it is now. You know what I mean? Like they were like corporate was pushing back. So that's my point. By having Switch call Neo a copper top, it's like a double entendre whammy where they're saying these are the battles, these are the few battles we lost. We lost the trans thing with the character Switch, and we lost the battery argument.
We don't know if she was actually a woman now. I mean, they've never showed any of the hoogly parts. She was always covered up. She had a feminine face and a feminine attitude, but we don't know if she was actually a male.
That ended up being the compromise, right? That's saying like the actress, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but the actress is a female actress. But like you said, in her Matrix outfit, she's got like the androgynous look to her. So that's the way they like settled it.
Yeah.
Instead of having it be like completely feminine in the Matrix and complete man in the real world. Yeah, that was the original one. Yeah.
I'm totally lost with the chat. I'm seeing a lot of Santa Claus. Santa Claus AI doesn't give presents. Santa Claus is not in North Pole. Santa Claus is in Lapland. Or how did Matrix go to Santa Claus?
Well, it gets pretty deep. We're pretty fucking deep. Now we're talking about. I can conclude that Switch was even the name Switch. I mean, think about the
name. Dude. It's all there. Yeah.
She might have been a he the whole time. It's just a feminine male. And they do it exists.
And there's a Matrix comic. I believe it's titled "Burning Hope," where the spoiler alert, the person they're looking for, like inside the Matrix, they're like this huge, buff, jacked, like pyromaniac setting fires. And in the real world, it's a little girl.
A question from the chat. Beto Venom wrote, "Did the architect and Oracle conspire at the end?"
I would say they were conspiring the entire time. I would say at the end is when it's no longer a conspiracy.
Okay.
This is when the agreement is out in the open.
Yeah, I could agree. Yeah, that's the question you asked the entire time, and then they're sitting on the park bench together, going, just she's just smoking, and they're just talking away like, oh yeah, we've done this many times. I felt like here we go again. That's what I got out of the whole thing. Here we go again.
And the dangerous game, he says you played a very dangerous game. I mean, the dangerous game was giving Smith leverage. Okay, yes. Because giving Smith leverage allowed Neo to negotiate. Without Smith having the ability to actually destroy the Matrix, then Neo has nothing to negotiate with. Which goes back to the concept of people talking about the bad guys behind the curtain. Here in current reality, the bad guys behind the curtain, the elite, they might be there as Agent Smith to get you woken up. You can't bitch about 9/11 unless 9/11 happened. You can't connect with these other people unless these bad things happened. Right. It's part of the living Matrix universe. You got to have the George Bush cartel before you can become a member of this group to fight against the system. But you got to have both. You can't have one without the other. Again, with that perfect concept universe at the beginning, the first Matrix, where everything was perfect, nobody was bad. Everybody was good, and it failed. Right? They said it failed. So now we got to create the bad guy, and now we got to have the good guy. And it gives them something to do. Mm-hmm. It keeps the balance. Distraction, yeah.
What do we think what's your idea, Neo Matrix? What's your idea what you might see in the fourth, or what are you guessing? Because I know we don't know.
Here we go.
Actually come out, but in your opinion, what do you think they're planning to do? Because it's not 100 years in the future, right? The next 100 years.
No. So I've done a lot of digging. Yeah, and spoiler alert, not that I know, because like you said, they've been doing a great job of keeping things under wraps. I mean, no one's allowed to talk. Very, very few leaks. But with the little stuff I have seen from the shots in San Francisco and piecing together little clues and interviews and little slip-ups here and there.
Here we go.
The writer, David Mitchell. Well, first of all, Keanu Reeves himself said that it's not time travel, right? We're not going back. We're not doing young Neo, right? Okay, so Keanu Reeves confirmed that. Then one of the writers, David Mitchell, he said it is 20 years later. Okay, so we have that piece of information. He also acknowledged that there aren't as many payphones as they used to be. So, we don't know how they're going to work that reality into the Matrix 4, but we do know that the writer is saying, it's not going to be, we're not just going to pretend like it's 1999, basically. They're going to modernize the Matrix to some degree. We know that that's going to happen. From the shots that I've seen from San Francisco, it looks to me like, we're going to have a thing where Neo is in the Matrix, but probably doesn't remember what happened. He's probably Thomas Anderson, but unaware that he's the one, if I had to guess. I don't know if the same is going to be said for Carrie Ann Moss, but we did see that her blue pill name is Tiffany.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a good.
Great.
What else do we have? Right. We also know that the ship, the plaque from the ship, like the Nebuchadnezzar, we saw the Nebuchadnezzar get destroyed in the Matrix, but the ship in the Matrix 4 is the Nemo sign. If I think I'm saying that right, but it means memory. Okay. So there was that
always
clue.
People pay attention to the name. Names are relevant. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They always layer that stuff up.
Matrix 4 sounds like Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, I love the Johnny Mnemonic reference. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Keanu was great for the role of Neo.
I think that was his pre-roll for Neo. Correct. Good one on the Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah.
And it's 2021. The internet in Johnny Mnemonic is 2021. So we are living Johnny Mnemonic right now.
That is brilliant. Yeah.
Matrix now wouldn't work. Nobody has landline phones.
Well, it works. You just can't get out.
Weekend at Bernie's.
I love Weekend at Bernie's.
I want a flying car.
Yeah, there you go. But here's another concept for you, Neo Matrix. This is kind of this is the fun one. This is an alternate universe fun idea just to play with. Just gonna get your opinion on it, just for the fun of it. Now, you've got the idea from back in the 70s of Doctor Who. Doctor Who, right? Doctor Who was in a phone booth. Okay, he was in a phone booth. It's a big blue box phone booth. That's how he comes in and out of dimensions and realities. The concept of the phone booth. Do you think that it has any correlation of how Neo and his posse, them coming in and out of phone booths? You know, I mean, out of all the things that they come out of phone booths or phones.
Technically, Keanu Reeves was in phone booths in Bill and Ted.
Okay, yes. Let's add it. Let's add that to the list. Keanu Reeves was in a phone booth. Now that phone box booth, the old hardline phone. Do you think both these films, we'll add that one to the mix, has any concept or anything to do, or has it inspired the idea of the Matrix idea of not just cell phones, we're talking phone booths? Is there any kind of weird correlation?
Well, yes, specifically to phone booths. I mean, you know, the Wachowskis have been very open about pulling from so many different influences to come up with the different things that we see in the film. So it would not surprise me at all if, you know, the phone booth reference in the Matrix films was a nod to Doctor Who at all. I'd say probably more so Doctor Who than the Bill and Ted films.
Okay.
But Keanu Reeves is in the Bill and Ted films. Like, it's not like there's not a direct link. You know what I mean?
He was going through time in a phone booth. Again, Doctor Who he was a time lord who goes in and fixes the problem within that dimension. Doesn't really do anything, but just shows
Superman used the phone booth to change.
Superman, yes, thank you very much.
And you know, at the end of the first film, he flies out of the phone booth. You know, and in the Matrix Reloaded, Link the operator says he's doing his Superman thing, right? So there's a definite reference. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's the thing. They smack and layer this thing with so many different references. It's just chock full of stuff, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was in England. Well, I'm back for a little bit. England, the old-fashioned old-fashioned red metal, solid metal phone booths were still in places. They're amazing to look at. And for some reason now, presently, with this whole whatever pandemic and stuff, they're for some reason getting rid of the phone booths. They have made a campaign for some reason to get rid of these old phone booths. And I go, I mean, this is off the subject. I get it. I was asking why, and I actually did some research to find out why are they getting rid of these are beautiful icons. They're beautiful in England. Everyone loves them, even tourists. But they're making, because there are people shooting drugs inside of them. I'm like, oh, really? Is this why?
It's not just that, though. I mean, you know, if you want to go into the agenda side of things, you know, when everyone has a cell phone, everyone can be tracked.
That's right. Yeah,
everybody is. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, but exactly. They said a lot of the shady the shady work is all being done
on
the
underworld, right? Yeah, you know, cartel people using phones for, you know, deals and whatnot. But
and what I
was going to say is about the what you asked about the phone booth, though, and that's the thing. Like I said, David Mitchell is aware that there's not as many phone booths in the world, but the main thing in terms of exiting is that it has to be a hard line. So they can still use a hard line. I mean, we saw this in the original Matrix, right? When when Cypher betrays them, you know, they're trying to get to a phone in the building. They're not trying to get to a phone specifically. So they can still, you know, exit the Matrix through a phone line in a place of business or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a big conspiracy going on with the phone booths. I'm not even joking. When I was in England, I was like, there is people protesting. I'm not joking, like putting up signs, do not get rid of our phone booths. Do not get rid of our phone booths. And for some reason, even though they're beautiful and all the tourists love them, there's no reason to get rid of them. And they're in public places. Get rid of the phone booths.
If you're the telephone company,
you
still gotta repair them, put wires in them, and if they're not coming back with a return, any kind of money on a profit on them, by keeping them there, you're kind of forcing the telephone company to eat the cost because less people are using those kind of phones more than ever. So if you're a telephone company, why would you want to keep investing money, even though they look nice?
Well, they need to keep that. Well, here's the argument. Now, you're correct, Eric. You're correct. But here's the argument that the people in England, where I'm at, certain places, they're all arguing about is that there is not everyone can afford a cell phone, and if you're being followed by a woman or a man or whatever, being followed by a bunch of freaking weirdos,
stalker.
they stalker, they can go into a phone booth and hit the 911 button, or they can go in and get a cop fast. They can get safety. Even those phone booths are solid metal. They close them. They can fucking put their body against them. They can't get in there. They're protectors. So a lot of actually parents. So we want our kids to be able to have access to those safety boxes, they would call them, to get inside there. But there is and I'm just saying, I'm not trying to start a conspiracy, but yeah, there is a weird thing about them trying to get rid of phone booths. But Eric says, well, he's right. Probably they're not making enough money to keep them open. So throwing that weird argument about it, it kind of adds to the Matrix. It adds to Doctor Who. It adds to Superman. It adds to Bill and Ted's. It adds a lot of weird questions within this living Matrix that we live in. Getting rid of the phone booths. Now you're talking about 20 years in the future where they don't have very many phone booths. So they got to get around that obstacle.
Maybe the UK, I'm not saying, I mean, maybe they should use the phone booth more to make sure there's money flow.
According to the people, they do.
Remember, Carlos from the UK, she wrote, we're very attached to our phone booths. We know it's our way out of here.
Right? I mean, I always see somebody using this. See, here's the argument. I always see somebody using the phone booth. Now, and there's tourists taking pictures in the phone booths. They're not unpopular.
Hear this one. People have lost loved ones and will have random calls from the other side and can't explain it. Spirit travels via electricity. I have heard that before, that because on a regular landline that's from a telephone company, there is a current. That's how your phone rings. Yeah. And that if you believe in the spiritual side, the paranormal side, that ghosts use that electricity to call you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also heard that wood is like a paranormal conductor, like a spiritual conductor.
Oh, that's me and Bob. That's why we're conductors. We're our last names are Wood.
That explains a lot.
Not wood. What was it? It was off subject. Shaun of the Dead. When I forget his name, the bigger one with the beard, or the bigger one, he has that T-shirt that says "Got Wood" on it. The whole show. I love it. Where's that T-shirt? He's got wood. Yes, yeah. Wood is. Well, silica's in wood. Tree off the science subject, trees absorb silica from the soil, and it's got crystalline. Basically, silica's crystalline. So trees, along with humans, along with animals, all have silica in them. And some trees, they're a denser wood. They will take in more silica. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can trap ghosts.
Now, if they do the fourth one, I know some people I see chats and they're talking about, should you bring Trinity back or not?
Ooh.
And bringing
Carrie Ann Moss is in it.
What's that?
I said Carrie Ann Moss is in it.
Oh, she is in it.
She is in it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe she's in it as a past reference of a memory he has. I mean, I got
pictures of her on set. She's in it.
She's a regular star. But see, that's where you start questioning. If you bring her back, then it's almost becoming Marvel, where nobody dies. Because that's the biggest problem about Marvel. People say that superheroes never die. Loki's died twice, and now he's got his own TV show. If you start bringing it, I know Neo, I can see where making a connection where he could come back because they mention him, but they never really mention anything about Trinity. She's supposed to be like a regular person in a way. So that's a questionable move. Hopefully,
no, that is the question, though. In the Matrix Online, she actually did return. When she did, now there's this whole reference to the biological interface program, and I really don't want to get into the details of that because it was late in the game and it never really got fully fleshed out. I don't like to talk about it because, I feel like there was a lot of gaps in the story and we never got the full answer. But the point is that when she came back, there was not one single reference to her real world body. Okay, she only came back inside the Matrix.
Oh,
right. So we don't know how they're going to explain it in the Matrix 4. But
that's a good point.
If
she could be a program,
right? If she is connected to Neo because they were both hybrid, and it just so happened that he's the one, then her program could still exist inside the Matrix, even though her human body is gone.
You know what this sounds like, Eric? You know where this is going? I think Fizzy Pop brought it up. This is WandaVision. where Vision himself is recreated. If you guys aren't into WandaVision, you'll have to watch it. You got to get the app. It's actually Walt Disney, or steal it, or get someone watch it somewhere.
Show.
But it's got the same concept that Vision himself is alive within the bubble, which would you call a matrix, because Wanda's changing everything with her mind.
Right, they're calling it the hex in WandaVision.
Yeah, and he tried to leave. When he realized that he wasn't able to. His body broke back down and went back into the bubble. She
expanded it over him.
So she had expanded over him to bring him back. Now he's alive, just like what Trinity would be, within the Matrix, within the bubble, in WandaVision. He's alive, but when he tries to leave, he's not. So it's the same idea about all these people trapped within this. I guess I hate bringing up WandaVision because people probably haven't watched it, but boy, does it have a lot of references to the Matrix. I mean, holy shit! They took the idea of all these other concepts and then put it into its own show, and I'm like, man, this is the Matrix. If you want to add it to the list of
Torres, I'm not going to spoil anything because I have not watched the final episode that came out.
We will. Sorry, guys.
I haven't watched it yet either. I'm going to watch it after the show. So
yeah, it's on today. I'm not going to say a word. Yeah, but I highly recommend the show if you're into this concept of the Matrix. Yeah, it's so amazing. And it's
let me ask Neil his beyond the Matrix movies. Was there like another kind of a Matrix kind of style movie that you liked that's not like called the Matrix? Like for me, I always said that Tron is one of my true Matrix movies. Is there one that you like? Oh
no, I'm an 80s baby, so I love Tron. Like I grew up with Tron. Yeah, no, and you know, like there's all these like crossover theories with movies and stuff, like, or crossover videos on YouTube, right? Yeah, Tron would definitely be the prequel to the Matrix if we're gonna go there. You know, a lot of people compare Dark City to the Matrix just because it came out.
City, yes.
Also, I believe it was 98. And actually I think we talked about this before. There's some set pieces in the Matrix that were used in Dark City. So that's very Matrix-like. But since the Matrix, you know, there's been so many Matrix references. I mean, even what was that show? There was a show called The 100 that had a whole ton of Matrix references. Like I think it was like the third season was like this whole like Matrix construct and the City of Light, and like they went way Matrix in there. So yeah, you'll see it pop up. I mean, now that the idea is out there, I mean, it's really come up many times since then.
Yeah, there's a show on Amazon Prime called Upload.
Oh yeah,
it's a series where
right
before you die, you have a choice to upload yourself.
That sounds a lot like Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love Altered Carbon. I did not like the second one, but I love the first season.
There's the other one.
I thought the first season was better. I didn't hate the second season. They were just very different. Did you watch the anime? There was an anime.
You're right. It's
there
not
was an anime in between. Yeah.
The second one, I love the actor that was in the first one. The guy who plays in True Blood. And
the guy that plays in RoboCop too, yeah,
RoboCop, and they replaced him with the Falcon or the
Aaron
and it
Mackey.
threw me off because I liked the other character. You know what I mean? I was trying to get into it, but I wanted to see the other face.
Yeah.
But what about that movie? No one ever talks about. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the fucking name of it, but you guys might know it. It's Bruce Willis. And it's about them going into they go into a state of mind where they're in this little thingy and they go into the robots.
There's surrogates, I think, right?
Is it surrogate? Yeah, right. Where he's a cop and he has to go after these. You have one faction, just like the Matrix. You have one faction. They refuse to go into surrogates. They're just going to stay human, live human, eat human. The other half of society, they go into their bedrooms, they lock shit up, they go into this body thingy, and they go into their surrogate. And they're running around. They could be anybody they want. They had like really ugly old fat guys that are like beautiful women. Wow.
Nobody agrees with me that I always felt that the horror movie Evil Speak.
I was going to say
is a Matrix style because a lot of people are like, what do you mean Evil Speak is? Listen, Evil Speak. This guy takes an evil Bible, whatever, and he uses the computer to dissect what's the meaning behind it, and then the computer starts taking a mind of its own. I mean, you might say, yeah, it's a Satan or whatever, but in 1981, there weren't computers in everybody's houses. I mean, computers weren't there. This guy was using a computer like it's like in everybody's house, and he used the computer to dissect on what this Bible thing was saying.
He was trying to bring, in reference to the Matrix, he was trying to bring Agent Smith over from the.
basically, that is right.
Agent Smith.
But there's one thing I did want to say, since we're talking about like the entire trilogy, that I wanted to put out to your listeners just before I forget, because we're talking about all of them. I always recommend, I feel like if you really want to get the total trilogy experience, if you really want it to like settle in, I think the way that it was most designed, try watching the original Matrix, then the Animatrix, and then Reloaded, and then Revolutions, in that order. And the reason why I say that is because, like what we talked about earlier, yes, the original is the classic. It's the one most people like the most. It's the one that's most traditional in its structure. The Animatrix has, like I said, it has these other artists showing you the Matrix universe through their world building, and not just the Wachowski's world building. And I think that really opens you up to what's coming next. But more specifically, the Second Renaissance explains, it's the prequel. It tells you why the Matrix is the way it is. It shows the reasoning behind the machines doing what they're doing. That then prepares you for the architect speech, which is at the end of Reloaded, because Reloaded is designed to be like deconstructionist philosophy, right? They give you all these rules. They tell you how, they tell you the truth. They give you the red pill in the first Matrix, but in Reloaded, they tear all that apart with that architect scene. They say, hey, Neo, all that's a lie. All that's BS, right? And then you go into Revolutions. Like I said, he picks the door to save Trinity. Again, this is the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
By doing that, now you're stepping into Revolutions, which is reconstruction. That's okay. You've torn down all what we told you're supposed to believe about the Matrix. And now it's like, what's next? What do you do now? What do you build from here? Where do you go from here? And that's where it really becomes a choose your own adventure, because now you're getting into the parts of Revolutions where they don't explain everything, and you have to kind of come up with your own answers in some areas. And I feel like it's a lot easier to do that when you've seen the Animatrix, like I said before, Reloaded, because that kind of prepares you to really choose your own adventure and to really build your own world within the Matrix universe. And I think that's to me, that's the fun part of the journey. That's the fun part of watching these films, is when you come out of Revolutions and it's like, we're all Neo. Like, it's teamwork. It's about you wanting to take action in your own life and in the world as a whole, as a collective. And I think that's the part, at least for me, that was like where I got when I did that. And like I said, I feel like when you watch them in that order, it just sets you up for that. And I think that's how they designed it to be.
No, that's good. There's a lot of people saying here that they've never watched the Animatrix. So
you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
And everybody who's in the chat talking about Santa Claus, well, here's something on NeoMatrix website or page. Does Christmas even exist?
Does Christmas even exist? Saturday
that was Merry Christmas post. Yeah.
So who are you talking about? Santa Claus? Well, you might want to look at this.
Saturnalia. Yes.
But yeah, in the playlist, that's the thing. Okay, I encourage everyone to watch the entire Animatrix, I think it's 9 episodes. But the most important is the Second Renaissance. And last I looked anyway, in the playlist, that Animatrix playlist, those episodes are still in that playlist. Okay. And I tell you this now because when I first made that playlist, whoever was hosting the Second Renaissance before, I guess like YouTube shut those down. So I found someone else hosting it. So instead of 2 parts, it's like 4. But it's the real Animatrix episode. So if you haven't seen the Second Renaissance, I highly recommend that you watch it. It's very important. Yeah, I think it really, like I said, if you're looking for a prequel, those are the prequels. I
think it's on HBO Max.
Oh, is it?
If you can watch the whole thing, watch the whole thing. I mean, it's a fun ride.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the whole series thing. Because
my favorite episode is actually the very last one, Matriculated. It was created by Peter Chung, who did the original Eon Flux.
Yeah,
he's a beast. Like his Animatrix episode is really solid, man.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the whole. I'm gonna do the bender. Just go like on the weekend, just go through the whole fucking thing and then take notes. And,
Yeah, it's only like an hour and 15, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. It's not long.
oh, cool. Yeah, you guys. So it sounds like something you should do. And people are bored. I'm tired of watching. Well, then go ahead and do the bender. Go ahead and do it like the way you talked about it. I'm gonna give it a shot. Watch the first Matrix, then watch the Animatrix, the cartoon series, which I love the anime, and then finish the rest of the trilogy and just have the whole experience. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Did you watch the Altered Carbon anime? There was an anime on Netflix for that.
No, I didn't know there was a cartoon. It had some heavy Animatrix vibes. I would say the Animatrix was better, but I did enjoy it. In fact, I might have enjoyed the anime Altered Carbon more than the second season, if we're being honest.
Okay. Wow.
It was different though. Just like the second season was different from the first season. The anime is different from both of them.
But
cool. It's the same characters. Yeah.
Wow, this is a great show. This got a lot of good questions answered, a lot of good concept, a lot of thought concept, man.
Oh, wow. That's the Matrix experience, though, is bringing you into thought experiment and philosophical questions and making you question, what is Christmas? Is Christmas real?
Is real? Is that real? Is everything real? Are we within a matrix ourselves?
Yeah.
When can we get out? I want to go to Zion. I mean, there's a lot of orgies going on, a lot of drums pounding, sweaty women. It's gonna be great.
Well, that's what I really want to do. Ultimately, I really want to build a Zion. I want to build an underground bunker. So when everything, goes to crap, we got a safe place to party.
Yeah, you get the big robot. You can get inside the robots. You can dance with large robots. Anybody can be anyone.
I mean, tonight I'm going to go watch some sci-fi movie tonight. Don't know if it's going to be any good or not.
Which one are you watching?
I'm watching a new one that just comes out today. It's called Child's Walking. It's where a disciplined world where there are no women and all living creatures can hear each other thoughts in a stream of images, words, and sounds called noise.
They should call it Sausage Fest. I don't know. I would think that would be a better name for it. I don't know if I want to live there.
Yeah, it has Daisy Ridley from Star Wars, and it has the Spider-Man kid, Tom Holland. So, I mean, I don't know. And then if you guys want to get my opinion on it, you can always go to, my website. And if you scroll down to Welcome to the Matrix Home Cinema, the Matrix Home Cinema is where I put the last 4 movies that I watched, because I go to movies every Friday, and every Friday I'll put a new one on here on Saturday. So if you're ever curious about my opinion, just come here. Because I tell you the honest truth, Monster Hunters fucking sucks.
When Eric says something sucks, I try it. It does suck. Now, he likes hairband rock music, and I don't like that, so I would not listen to that opinion. However, when it comes to his movies, Eric is pretty much dead on what I think. Like, oh, this is bad. You're not joking. Oh, shit.
Well, like I said, when I saw Monster Hunters, I felt stupid because the music was like a video game. I'm like, this sounds like a video game music. And then I get home, my 16-year-old son goes, Dad, did you know I used to play that game a couple years ago?
It's a video game.
Oh, it is a video game movie.
Oh, man.
I wonder the music sounded like from a video game.
A video game to usually goes. I like it when it goes a movie to a video game. Make a movie first, then if you make a video game to a movie, then it sucks.
This would not be a show without Juan Torres making his comments.
What did he say?
Wait, does Xeon have a place for the Octorians? Bob may have a hand in that fiesta.
Cállate, cabrón.
But right before we go, do you have anything coming up on your channel, or are you going to be going on any other channels coming up that you want people to know about?
I'm sorry?
Do you have anything coming up on your channel, or are you going on any other channels coming up?
What's your thing?
Oh, no. I mean, this invite was the only live stream I had lined up. Although I did want to say I shouted you guys out in my last live stream. It was called A Glitch in the Matrix because I reviewed that documentary titled A Glitch in the Matrix, and I had to shout you guys out because, I guess, Gypsy Road is the prophet here. That was the first conversation you guys invited me to on your channel. So you guys invite me, we have this great conversation, and then like 2 months later, a documentary about that topic comes out.
That's right. Yeah, right.
Carla, you are right. The movie, the TV show, The Witcher, is from a video game, and that was fucking badass on Netflix. That one, yes, I will say The Witcher is badass.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I'm just saying in general. Now maybe they make a video game first, and then they make it into a movie. It's probably good. Back in the time, it usually used to be an epic movie, and then it became an okay video game. So I still remember playing what was it, Empire Strikes Back on Atari. It was taking down.
I still remember playing Tron when he was shooting those spiders.
I remember Tron video game. Yes.
The tanks.
I loved Tron video game. I loved the only one that failed was E.T. That E.T. video game.
Oh, that was the most horrible game that there ever was. If you're playing E.T., you fell in this freaking hole and you couldn't get out.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah, that was the one that they had did an archaeological dig for. They were looking. They pulled back all the games and they buried them into a landfill, and nobody could find them. And they actually had an archaeologist guy, go look for where they were hidden, and then they had a big excavation on. They did it on television, and they dug it up, and they found the video games. They found the old ET Atari video games, which they sold for a lot of money, which is weird.
Mortal Kombat. Oh yeah, there is a new Mortal Kombat movie coming out, and there is a trailer for it. Yeah, and
the trailer looked pretty good.
And I might be the weird one, but I liked the first Mortal Kombat.
I did too.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, in the early 90s, like, come on, like anybody who says it was terrible is like, you're watching it now. You weren't watching it then.
Mm-hmm. It's like They Call Me Bruce back in that time. It was a great movie. I don't know if you guys remember They Call Me Bruce.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie at the time. Loved it. If you watch it now, you're going to laugh a little bit like, wow. But I still like it.
No, I still remember that famous scene in The Call Me Bruce where he was going to eat the egg raw and he's like tasting it like, and he fried it.
Yeah. But he brought up the kick-ass movie. Damn it. Not Enter the Dragon. What was it called again? The Dragon.
Last Dragon.
The Last Dragon was just this guilt. Now it's a guilty pleasure. I don't want to call it. I think it's a great movie. I loved it at the time. I think it's out now on one of the channels. I have to watch it again. I loved it. It was so good. And now it's out. You're going to go back and watch it as a little bit of nostalgia, and it's still good.
But it's funny. Yeah, there it is.
Yes, The Last Dragon.
Yeah. He's got that glow. I mean, and it's funny too, because when you talk about Mortal Kombat and you said Enter the Dragon, I mean, Enter the Dragon growing up was like my favorite movie. Big Bruce Lee fan. And, Liu Kang was like, based on Bruce Lee. And that's what I always loved about Mortal Kombat. Like from the beginning, like those characters, were based on like Big Trouble and Little China. And the Johnny Cage character was supposed to be Van Damme from Bloodsport. Like it's just all these movie references that they didn't really have the rights for. So they just had these clone characters and made a video game that was bloody.
Yeah. Okay, I got to get your opinion before we hang up this phone here real quick, the phone booth thing. The Flying Guillotine, man. Now, I love that movie. Were you a fan of The Flying Guillotine, my friend?
I haven't seen that.
No, hold on. What is it called?
The Flying Guillotine? Oh, it's a 70s kung fu movie. To me, it's one of the greatest ever made.
I'm going to have to go watch it now. Yep, I'll find it now.
The flying there's a couple of copycats afterwards, but remember the original Flying Guillotine.
The Flying C Team?
The Flying guillotine. Like a guillotine that cuts your head off, a guillotine.
I've never heard of it.
Wow. You guys have never seen, if you're into kung fu movies or into the old black belt theater, The Flying Guillotine is like one of the greatest movies ever made. Kung fu movies. I think it went the way of They Live, that everyone loves. We all love the movie They Live. But it just got avalanched into some kind of pit where it's like you don't see it. You don't ever see it. You don't hear about it. It's like the tapes have disappeared. You get a glimpse of from truthers and people joking about They Live, but it went under. But Flying Guillotine is like that. It was one of them kick-ass martial arts movies that just disappeared.
Yep. And then right before we go, guys, now remember, if any of you in the chat wants my weekly newsletter that I do from my website, just go to my website, subscribe. It's free. There's no charge. I don't charge people to subscribe to my website. But if you subscribe to it, I send out a weekly newsletter of upcoming shows that we do. And I put some other kind of stuff on there, some other facts, like maybe a movie that I saw, or I'll put is this a hoax or a real picture, like I did last weekend. So if any of you guys want to get a free newsletter from me, you got to sign up, because otherwise I don't know how to email it to you. Yeah. So just do that. And I think it's a pretty good website.
It's a great website, and I'm on it. We just did a video yesterday.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Hey guys, yes, Bob is correct. Yesterday we do some exclusive news topics, but we do it on the website just because we want to make sure that YouTube can take you down for any reason.
Right.
But on my website they can't. So these news topics might be a little bit extreme.
Not that bad. We don't go. We keep it with older. We don't. It's family-ish friendly. It's not that bad, so you guys can watch it. Yeah, we don't go crazy with it and stuff. So, I mean, 18 and above.
No, yeah, you're right. We don't go crazy, but all you do is scroll down, and you'll see it right here. Mm-hmm. I got to change the thumbnail. Yeah, you'll see some exciting news. You know, Spice Girls are they're doing a tour again. They added a sixth person. You might need to watch it to find out who's that sixth person.
Yeah,
Taylor Green is the new cult president now for a bunch of cults. And the final news topic is JFK really dead?
We just play around. Satire, guys.
It's satire. It's satire. Yeah. Come on, Bob. If somebody thinks that's real.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Satire. So that's how we approach everything now. I approach everything with satire. For some reason, satire somehow it's like a virus. The Matrix can't fucking change it. So I don't know how to explain it other than that. Satire seems to hold its weight in this place.
Yeah, but if you guys love Matrix stuff, I'm gonna put Neo's channel back in the chat right here. I'll put it right back here. And guys, check out his stuff. I mean, you saw me share his screen. I mean, he's got a bunch of information.
Absolutely.
I mean, just look. I mean, Matrix Reloaded, Zombie Mix. There's just a lot of different things. The Matrix Machine, Animatrix, like he's talking about. He's got a video here.
Yeah, no, you asked what's coming next. So you can see I finished the Animatrix series. I'm gonna start the Matrix comics series. That's coming very soon.
Wow.
That is awesome. So guys, check it out. Wow. Absolutely. That one also, actually, that one, 19K. That's pretty damn good.
Celebrity dude. Whoa. We got a celebrity. Damn.
And you just got a sub right there.
You got,
thank you. Much appreciated.
You can hear he's well spoken. He's not dropping F-bombs. I mean, he's clean, man.
Well, I'm trying to look out for you guys because, like you said, YouTube, they're on it, man. They're scanning and they give you a little. I don't want to call it a shadow ban, but okay. So here's a trick that you guys might appreciate, or that some of your viewers, if they have YouTube channels, might appreciate, that I recently learned. If you go into incognito mode, right? Like if you're on your, mobile device or whatever, you go log into YouTube in incognito mode and then go into settings and turn restrictions on. Then when you go to your channel, you can see what videos YouTube has hidden because of language or whatever they like kind of ding you for, and then didn't send you a notification. So you could see what videos are hidden on the front end.
No, really?
Yeah, and like way more of my videos are hidden than I thought. Like it was like, whoa, what, really? Like they're really.
One more time so everyone hears that real clear.
So if you want to check and see what videos on your channel that the algorithm is hiding.
Yeah.
And it could be for language or adult content or whatever they feel like they caught you for, but they didn't send you a notification. They didn't send you an email. They just hid it. If you want to know which one of your videos are hidden, first log in as incognito mode. Like for me, I see it on my mobile device, right? You go into incognito mode first. Then when you're in incognito mode, go into the settings and turn restrictions on. Then when you look at your channel, You'll only see what YouTube suggested will show and what videos are on the front end of YouTube. Anything that's hidden, you won't see.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm curious.
I learned that recently. You know, that, like I said, a lot of videos that I had no idea were hidden. I was like, really?
Yeah, see, that's weird. I was joking with someone today in England. They contacted me, they big fan of my channel, and they said, dude, I have noticed that within the last month to 2 months, you have not gained one sub. I'm locked in.
That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, man.
I noticed that. And they said, you know, as in Eric and I here having a great time on Gypsy Road, we're moving pretty good. We're moving up. But out of all these people, my channel is locked. It's like, how can they not? They know me. They would go to my channel. And at least a few of them would sub up, but not. No.
And I've heard there's an appeal process. I haven't tried it yet, but I think it's good to know, like, just to see what kind of stuff is getting dinged and stuff.
Yeah, so it's evident to me. It's 100. I can't get more evidence than that. Again, mine's just for experiment. This is a good. I love this. This is my home channel. I love having a great time. But over mine, I was like, not one side gained in like months. This is something up here, man. There's something going on. Oh well. They love me.
Who'd you piss off, Bob?
I don't. Maybe the material I'm putting out is a little bit too intense. Now, I put it out in code, so people that watch my stuff, it's strictly code. You'd have to be familiar with what I'm putting out first. It kind of weeds. It separates the wheat from the tares, kind of a thing. So either you know, or you don't. That's why I try not to use too many words and stuff. I just put out just things for codes. You get it or you don't. But the algorithm gets it, so they're locking it.
Well, you know, like I said, it's always hard for us to. It's one of those things that it's hard arguments to make because technically we don't own the company. We don't own the site. Right. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, I have said that they can make a rule that says as of tomorrow, you can't wear hats on any video. Right. Yeah. If you don't own the format, it's free for us to use. So it's hard to have arguments because they can do whatever they want. Now, like I said, on my website, I can kind of do whatever I want because I own it.
Yeah. I don't mind keeping it down. So I think sometimes the way when we talk about the Matrix, it gives you what appears to be bad. What appears to be bad is not necessarily always bad. It keeps you either safe or something's going on. If the Matrix, you live in a universe likes you, there's a reason why something looks bad. Like it pushed you in a direction where you would have never gone before. Like really, and then all of a sudden you're there. Like, whoa, how did I get here? Well, because this bad thing happened, and that's why I'm here. So that bad thing wasn't necessarily that bad if you really look back at it. So, everything's playing itself out. So I wouldn't be calling everything bad, people out there that you think is bad.
Use pronounces and you are safe. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, beyond that, guys, we're going to end the show. I'm so happy that NeoMatrix came on.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I didn't know if I was going to make it through with this pain. So with him doing a lot of the talking, I was able to save my side.
Yeah.
You guys know if you're talking Matrix films, I'm down.
Oh God, yeah. And people like it too. We get pretty good views when you come on here with the Matrix conversation.
Yep. So beyond that, guys, we're going to end this show and subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to my website. Get the newsletter every week, and we'll see you guys on Monday. All right. See you guys later.
Later, guys.